Did you know that recent economic development in Rwanda has been robust, producing new business opportunities and moving people out of poverty? The Rwandan government is aggressively striving to expand the economy and reform the financial and commercial sectors. Mining, tourism, coffee, and tea are Rwanda's key foreign currency earners, and their continuing expansion is essential for the country's economic development and fight against poverty. In this video, we'll be exploring how Rwanda is becoming the fastest growing economy in Africa. Stay tuned till the end, because our last point may be important for you to know. The Rwandan population suffered significantly as a result of the genocide that occurred there. The Rwandan genocide, often known as the genocide against the Tutsi, happened during the Rwandan Civil War between April 7th and July 15th, 1994. During this roughly 100-day period, members of the Tutsi minority ethnic group, as well as some moderate Hutu and Twa, were murdered by armed militias. The Rwandan Patriotic Front, a rebel organization formed mostly of Tutsi exiles, launched the Rwandan Civil War in 1990 by invading northern Rwanda from their headquarters in Uganda. In the 3 years that followed, neither side was able to achieve a decisive victory. On August 4, 1993, the Rwandan government, headed by Hutu President Juvénal Habyarimana, signed the Arusha Accords with the RPF in an attempt to end the conflict peacefully. While many historians argue that the Tutsi genocide had been planned for some years, the killing of Habyarimana on April 6, 1994, created a leadership vacuum and ended peace agreements. The next day, Hutu troops, police, and militia killed prominent Tutsi and moderate Hutu military and political figures, marking the beginning of the genocide. The magnitude and savagery of the genocide shocked the globe. The vast majority of victims were murdered in their own villages or towns, sometimes by neighbors and fellow peasants. Hutu gangs actively sought out victims sheltering in churches and schools. The militants executed their victims using machetes and firearms. During the genocide, an estimated 250 to 500,000 women were victims of sexual assault. Once the genocide began, the RPF rapidly continued the civil war and took all government territory, putting a stop to the genocide, pushing the government and genociderisme, as they came to be known, into Zaire. The genocide had significant and enduring impacts. In 1996, the RPF-led government launched an invasion into Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo, home to exiled officials of the previous Rwandan government and many Hutu refugees, initiating the First Congo War and murdering an estimated 200,000 people. The Rwandan constitution states that more than 1 million people died in the genocide. During the genocide, the infrastructure and economy of the nation were severely damaged. Numerous structures were untenable, and the prior administration had departed the nation with all financial and movable valuables. Human resources were also significantly reduced, since more than 40% of the population were either murdered or had fled. Many of the survivors were traumatized. The majority had lost family members, witnessed murders, or participated in the genocide. The long-term impacts of war in Rwanda included social isolation, sexually transmitted infections, undesired pregnancies and children, and self-induced abortions by some women. The army, under the command of Paul Kagame, maintained peace and order as the government started rebuilding the country's infrastructure. The international community did not offer considerable help in the new administration, and the majority of foreign aid was diverted to refugee camps in Zaire that had arisen during the Hutu exodus from Rwanda. Kagame endeavored to depict the new administration as inclusive and not Tutsi-dominated. He ordered the elimination of ethnicity from the national identification cards of Rwandan nationals, and the government adopted a strategy of downplaying the differences between Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa. Rwanda is now making a comeback, and some consider it miraculous considering the devastation that occurred in 1994. Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, has had a good effect on the economy. The gross domestic product of Rwanda is projected to reach $2,214 in 2020, up from $650 in 2000 under the presidency of Paul Kagame. The average annual growth rate between 2000 and 2020 was 7%. Kagame's economic strategy is built on liberalizing the economy, cutting red tape for enterprises, and converting Rwanda into a knowledge-based economy. He has indicated that he thinks Rwanda can replicate Singapore's economic growth since 1960. Kagame, as stated in the National Vision 2050 policy, thinks Rwanda may attain an upper to middle income status by 2035 and a high income status by 2050. Numerous international donors and investors, including Bill Clinton and Howard Schultz, have complimented Kagame's economic approach. Internationally, the nation is also regarded as having efficient institutions and minimal levels of corruption. Rwanda is a nation with minimal natural resources. Around 90% of Rwanda's working population is engaged in subsistence agriculture. However, strong growth has occurred in the service sector under Kagame's leadership. In 2010, it became the biggest sector in terms of economic production, providing 43.6% of the nation's GDP. Key contributions to the tertiary sector include banking and finance, wholesale and retail commerce, hotels and restaurants, transportation, storage, communication, insurance, real estate, business services, and public administration, which includes education and health. In 2020, the priority was shifted to information and communications technology, or ICT, with the objective of converting Rwanda into an ICT center for Africa. For this purpose, the government has developed a 1,400-mile fiber-optic telecommunications network designed to encourage electronic commerce and deliver broadband services. In 2011, tourism surpassed all other industries as the country's biggest source of foreign currency revenue. In Rwanda, doing business is easy now. In various areas of the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business ranking, Rwanda rates well. After the nation was placed 158th on the Ease of Doing Business Index in 2005, Kagame established a special unit to assess the economy and suggest recommendations for easing business. In 2009, the nation topped the list of reformers as a consequence. In 2012, the nation ranked 52nd out of 185 countries globally on the index and 3rd out of 46 in sub-Saharan Africa. It also ranked 7th in 2012 for ease of launching a business. According to the Rwanda Development Board, businesses may be authorized and registered within 24 hours. In 2010, Transparency International classified Rwanda as the 9th least corrupt country in sub-Saharan Africa and the 66th least corrupt country in the world out of 178 nations. Rwanda is a secure investment destination. Rwanda has been described as having excellent government. This indicates that there are no grounds for concern over the government's stability. In fact, the World Economic Forum has designated Rwanda as one of the least corrupt nations in the world. Corruption is one of the primary hazards associated with investing in a developing nation. Theft of money or assets, seizure of corporate assets, difficulty to secure government permits, and denial of access to markets are just a few of the difficulties that might arise when investing in an environment with a high degree of corruption. The tourism industry has improved Rwanda's economy. Tourism is Rwanda's greatest source of foreign currency profits, growing by 25% between 2013 and 2018. The industry contributes the most to the national export strategy. In 2014 alone, the industry produced $305 million in sales. Major worldwide hotel brands, including Marriott Hotels and Resorts, Radisson Blu, Park Inn by Radisson, Sheraton Hotels and Resorts, Protea Hotels by Marriott, Golden Tulip Hotels, and Zinc, are doing business in the country, attracting direct foreign investment. Rwanda is poised to become a regional and international conference hub with its new world-class convention center due to its ever-improving conference facilities, excellent and expanding transportation network, and streamlined immigration procedures such as online visa applications, a visa-at-the-gate policy for all Africans, and a single tourist visa policy for the EAC. The Rwanda Development Board inked a 3-year collaboration agreement with London-based Arsenal Football Club and a 2-year partnership with French Association football powerhouse Paris Saint-Germain FC to assist in the development of Rwanda's tourist sector. According to Rwandan authorities, this has increased total tourism by 8%. Rwanda's infrastructure has come a long way. Rwanda recognizes the importance of infrastructure in the growth of a competitive private sector. The government continues to spend extensively on infrastructure for this reason. Approximately 10% of Rwanda's yearly budget is allocated to transportation and other infrastructure. Rwanda is investing in roads, rail, and water transport infrastructure with the intention of drastically decreasing the cost of transit for companies and people in order to establish a robust private sector. Rwanda has built 2 large regional lines to connect the nation to the main seaports of Mombasa and Dar es Salaam. It built the Dar es Salaam-Isaka-Kigali Railway project, which would link Kigali to the Dar es Salaam port in Tanzania through Isaka. Once finished, the project is anticipated to cost $5 billion. Rwanda has started the Mombasa-Nairobi-Kampala-South Sudan-Kigali Standard Gauge Railroad. The project is a component of the Northern Corridor Integration Projects, an East African Community Regional Initiative to construct a railway system network that would connect the 4 partner nations to one another. Rwanda strives constantly to boost commerce and minimize business costs. The transport industry in Rwanda has significantly improved in recent years. The transport sector system is largely based on the road network. The road sector provides around 15% of overall service delivery and accounts for approximately 7% of the GDP. The preservation of the national paved road network is a top priority. Projects that will need construction in the near future include an 80-kilometer ring road to Kigali City, a 208-kilometer route, and 140 kilometers of roadways in minor locations. The principal airport servicing both domestic and international destinations is Kigali International Airport. The airport is also home to Rwandair, the country's official airline. The airport is served by a variety of foreign airlines with flights to Addis Ababa, Amsterdam, Brazzaville, Brussels, Bujumbura, Dar es Salaam, Dubai, Entebbe, Johannesburg, Libreville, Mombasa, Nairobi, Istanbul, and Doha, among others. The government intends to establish a second airport to increase capacity for both passenger and cargo transportation. Given this information, what do you think was the most important turnaround? What else would you like us to talk about in our upcoming videos? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our videos.